Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I know I said I was gonna come on here every day, but because life is getting busy, and as we all know, I am also a mother, not just a content creator, but also a full-time housewife, whatever that means sometimes for me. In today's video, it's about Cherish the Gifts by Lynn Klug. Along with most of my friends, I used to complain about grocery shopping. Everything is so expensive. Hauling those heavy bags through the snowdrifts is such a hassle. Why does the store have to be jammed just when I go? Then, when we went as missionaries to Madagascar for 4 years, the shelves in the tiny stores were often empty. The market provided good food but few choices. When we returned to the United States, I pushed my cart down the supermarket aisle with a grateful heart. Although my perspective was radically altered, I was aware that it wasn't my job to start telling everybody how grateful they should be. But I do know that for me, gratitude has made my life much happier. It has also acted as a magnet for blessings. The more grateful I become, the more I have had to be grateful for. An ancient prayer expresses this thanks. Blessed art thou, O Lord, who givest us this bread and this wine, the fruit of man's labor. This prayer recognizes that our blessings depend in part on our labor. We shape ourselves, our world, and our history. But all, finally, is a gift of God, and we ourselves are the finest of His gifts. Our gift to God is our gratitude. And then the verse that comes along with this is in Psalm 116 verse 17 that says, I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call upon the name of the Lord. So if you have happened to stumble upon my channel for the first time, I usually talk about being grateful, talking about how we should count our blessings because it's a lot easier to complain on the things that we do not have. But as this author suggested, when you really go outside of your comfort zone and step out of this country, because we think that we live in a bubble. If you don't know what other countries look like, coming from Madagascar, according to Lynn Klug, it opened her eyes into a different point of view. She had a different perspective in life. She used probably to be a complainer of how hard it is to be falling in line, because we don't like to wait in line for about 15 minutes or so. And then when she goes to different places like Madagascar, the shelves were probably empty and there's not a lot of food or things to be eaten. So in the same way, in our country, sometimes we take for granted of the blessings that we have, the abundance and the amount of things, that the choices that this world offers, this country offers per se. And that is one of the things that I've always liked to talk about. I was actually born in a third world country, and as a little girl, I know exactly what it feels like. I was not born in that kind of environment though, although I've seen people, when you go to the city of Manila, there are slums, there are squatters that you can just see how they lived in a very dire, in a very mire environment. There are children that don't have any underwears or anything that are probably a good place to grow up in. So I kind of witnessed that, and I know exactly what it feels like to also not have the abundance, because even though we were not rich, but we were not poor either, but sometimes there was also lack and scarcity. And this is why the mindset of people who lived in this country, sometimes we become so privileged, we act so entitled, that if we are not really careful, we're gonna go down to this mentality of very entitled people and ungrateful for the things that we have, until of course that's something that you have to experience outside of this country. When you go outside of this country, and you're going to be able to experience and see the reality of other people, where kids are digging through a dumpster just to eat or to provide food for their stomach for the day. And so this is the things that we have to cherish. These are the gifts that we have been given into this country, the abundance and the lavishness and the luxury that for some people may not appreciate it, because as I said, unless you are outside of this country, you think that this is it. You think that this is what life for other people. Unless of course you know what it feels like to be hungered, to be not have anything to eat, then you'll appreciate of what you have. Because counting your blessings sometimes is, we don't really think about it. We have to be mindful. We have to be intentional to look at the life that we have now. I used to think that life was such a thing that I just have to be handed over. I didn't think that life is something that you have to work hard for it. And for so many people are lucky, or whatever you call it, blessed, that they're given this abundance in life from birth until their adulthood. Their family are rich, so they don't have to worry about money. But there's also a price to be paid. But for some of us who never really had a rich parents, who had to work to be able to survive or to support ourselves growing up, then we are more grateful people. And that's why sometimes if you have the mindset of gratefulness, cultivating a heart of gratitude is not just a one-time deal. Sometimes I like to write down on my journal saying, what are the 5 things I'm grateful for today? The air that we breathe, the life that we're given, the sun that just rises naturally, your family members, your spouse that's healthy, providing probably food for your table, your children that gives you joy, your health, of course, is one of the things, your shelter, you have clothes on your back, food on their table. If you really want to magnify on the things that you have, that's exactly what's going to be amplified in your life. And vice versa, if you're going to focus on the things of lack and scarcity, and you're going to end up complaining, and you're going to end up having this groaning mentality and moaning and grumbling of the things that you wish you could have, then there are many things, of course, to be ungrateful for. Before I got cut off. So those are the things that you have to focus on. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, because we wish for something that we don't have in life. We always like to have something that others have, and we sometimes often neglect or forget to count the things that we do have. It's just how it is about people. We usually like to compare of what people, maybe you have not had your perfect home yet, and yet your family members had purchased a home and you would wish that for yourself. We can go to this rabbit hole of comparison, and we can get into this rabbit hole of, why does she get a chance to travel the world and I can't afford it right now, or I don't have the money. It's because probably it's your priorities in life. So as I said, if you want to have this grateful attitude of thanking God for the simple things that you have, it's going to just make you happier. Most people are depressed, I think, because they only focus on the things that they don't have. And I used to think those. I used to compare myself and get envious. Be careful of being envious, and be careful of being jealous spirit, because the moment you are going to be jealous of other people's successes, and then you're going to end up have this bitterness, and you're going to end up not celebrating the milestone of people's successes. If you have this mindset of being happy, truly happy for other people's success, then you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. As I said, if you want to have a house someday and you're comparing yourself with the other people's success, and of course you're going to be depressed and you feel bad about yourself, and you're going to end up listing all the things that have gone wrong in your life. On the other hand, if you're going to focus on things that you have, the little things in life that matters, are you healthy? If you are healthy and that you can get out of your bed, not being on the bed or not being on the hospital bed, then probably that's something for you to thank God for being alive. All right, can you drive? Do you have a car? All the things that sometimes we take things for granted. Do you have something to eat and plenty of food in your pantry or in the fridge? So as I said, all about perspective. And as I said, if you have not had a chance to go outside of this country, maybe you should. Or maybe just go down to a park or a street where you can talk to one of the homeless people and really ask them, how did they get into that situation, and really understand that for people, I feel bad for those people sometimes when you think about it, when it's cold season and it's really hot outside, and they have nowhere else to put their head, and then they just have to be somewhere in the cold weather. Those are the things sometimes that we usually do not think about, how privileged and how blessed we truly are. So it says that we will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call upon the name of the Lord. Thanksgiving is a posture of your heart. Are you naturally a person who gives thanks, or are you a person who gravitate towards complaining? As I said, it's all about your perspective. It's all about the way you approach in life. You could be a person that you could have a lot of things in your life, but yet you are still have the mindset of poor mindset or the scarcity mindset. You will be surprised that there are people in our lives that maybe they have more money than you have, or they are more privileged, but then they are still complaining and never happy. They're never fulfilled. They're never satisfied. It's never enough for them. And that is the kind of mindset that we have to be careful. When the Bible is clear, you got to be anxious for nothing, but in everything, in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. You got to rejoice in every season of your life, because sometimes we could also become a habitual complainer. We could also be a grumbler, even though we have a lot of things going on in our lives. But if you do not really take the time to focus on the good things in life and count our blessings, we're gonna miss out on the blessings that God has for us. For some people, they say, I wish I could be married, and then they're rushing into getting married, and then they found out that the ideal marriage is not what they have expected. And so the same thing when we want to go back to being single. If you're single, you cannot wait to be married. If you don't have children, you cannot wait to have children. And then when we have children, you have no idea the kind of responsibility that comes with it. So as I said, you really have to be able to count the cost before you ask something. That's why Jesus said, when you pray, make sure that you pray it with a heart of faithfulness, and you just don't ask something without counting the cost, because be careful what you pray for. And because some things that we have to pray for, there comes with a challenges, it comes with blessings. The same thing with marriages. It's not always happy. It's not always going to get along with your parents or get along with your spouses. It's all about building relationships. So with anything in life, as I said, it's all about changing your perspective. It's about how you view things differently. As I said, if you have a chance, get outside of your comfort zone, go outside of this world. If you can, book a flight and spend time outside of this country, because you don't live in a bubble. There is a reality outside of this country that does not have the one that you have right now. I mean, look at your closet. How much clothes do you really have? And how much shoes do you possibly need? We have this mentality right now that we don't have enough, unless of course we keep on buying things. That's why we end up hoarding. And for some people, we just keep on accumulating, and there's no more room for it to store. Just look at people's their garages today in this country. There's too much, that's why you have a lot of yard sale going on, because we do have abundance in this country. But yet for some people, they are never happy. They're never satisfied. That's why Paul wrote, I have learned to be content, whether I am hungry or I have nothing, or whether I am full. It's all about learning to be content of whatever season God has placed you. So cherish the gifts that you have, not only limited to the things that you don't have. So cherish the gifts that you have is honing and cultivating the things that God has in store for you. So right now, I am cherishing the gifts that I have now as a full-time housewife, a mother, a content creator, trying to build my business. These are the gifts that I'm trying to cherish. These are the things that you have to cultivate. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. If you don't take care of the things that God has for you, as the parable of the 5 talents, remember what happened to the parables of 5 talents? And I'm going to end here. Jesus said that there are people that have 5 talents, and he was able to multiply and have a compound interest. The person that had 3 talents, he was able to multiply and use the talents. And the one person who refused to cherish the gifts, and what did he do with the talent? He buried it into the ground, and he was not able to flourish or to expand the talent. And God said, I will take that away from you, because you are wicked, you are lazy, and you did not able to produce or give me the compound interest. So it's the same thing with our gifts. It's the same thing with the talents and the things that God has given us. If you don't cultivate them, if you don't cherish them, if you don't use them methodically, then you're going to just be snatched from that person, and God is going to give it to someone who is more trustworthy, who is not lazy, who is going to be able to multiply and take the risk, because that's exactly how God wants you to use your talents and skills. Cherish them, because if you don't use them, you're going to lose them. If you don't count your blessings, you're going to end up complaining, and you're going to have the victimhood mindset, and you're going to end up comparing yourself with other people, which is going to be the waste of your time. You're not going to be able to build the life that you want, because you're too busy comparing yourself with other people. So we have to be careful in this lifetime that we must be a grateful heart. We must cultivate gratefulness instead of complaining. We must count our blessings instead of wishing for something that we don't have. We have to cultivate the talents and skills that we have, instead of comparing ourselves that, well, I am not as talented as her, because you are not going to be everybody's. No one is alike. Not two people are alike. You could have similarities and resemblances, but at the end of the day, no one is like you. You're the only one that is unique, that God has given you. You could probably sing, but maybe your singing style is not the same as Mariah Carey or Celine Dion. You know what I mean? So this is why cherish the gifts that you have in this life, because that's all you can do, instead of focusing on other people's things that you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself.